Hi, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to our second show of People Matters TV. It's a great opportunity to bring leaders from across the region to all of you in your locations, at your office, to have conversations about how can we accelerate the business impact of our HR programs. And we have with us a panelist group which is very diverse in nature to discuss a topic which is very close to our hearts on how do we really bring employee experience at the center of our work, and also how do we leverage the design thinking as a methodology. So we have with us Dr. Jacqueline Lee, Chief Human Resource Officer at Singapore University of Technology and Design. Dr. Lee, very warm welcome.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone who are watching in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We have Gaurav Heidi. He's the Group Director HR and Talent Development at Teledirect Telecommerce. Gaurav, a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon. And we have Irwandi Farizal. He's the Human Capital Director at Maybank Indonesia. Irwandi, very warm welcome to you too.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's really nice to meet all of you.
Thank you so much. So when we were preparing for this session for all of you, we really thought about how can we shift the paradigm of customer experience, which I think has been a very, very maturing, highly developed topic. And a few years ago, we started to hear about employee experience, but the reality is that there's still a huge gap between the efforts and the initiatives that we do as businesses to engage with our consumers, and how do we do that with our employees. So my first question to all of you is about the relevance of this topic, and what are the factors that are truly, really accelerating the need for us as HR professionals to really move that shift between putting HR effectiveness or HR experience at the center and really take that away and move the employee at the center of everything that we do. So what is accelerating that need to put employee experience at the heart of everything that we do as HR professionals?
Okay, maybe I can start. With the shift in demographics and the workforce, millennials entering the workforce, and with the advent of technology, so more and more employees of today are expecting to go into organizations and really, be able to, enjoy their work, be able to have a fantastic workplace that they can go to and contribute. So in this respect, the employee experience has become more and more important.
Yeah.
In fact, if not more, is as important as the customer experience. Thank you.
So the demographic part is one big driver. What else is driving that need for employee experience?
Well, I think it's the times that we currently live in. I mean, with digital breaking out and taking over the whole ecosystem, there is generally, the pace of change has become very, very fast, which has given, which has in turn, increased expectations, not just of customers and consumers, but also employees at the workplace. So, you've got instant messaging happening now. Chatbots are being spoken about. People, and I think generally the patience levels around the world, in every aspect seem to be reducing, because there's an expectation that everything needs to be met right now. So I think the pace of business and the pace of change and the way the whole digital environment is taken over is also actually impacting the workplace in a big way.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav. Anything else to add?
Yes, Esther. In reality, the world is changed already, and then in reality now we are entering the new normal of human capital era. Now it's not just normal, but the new normal era. But in reality, we must understand that the basic of business coming from people, and people will produce the process, and process will produce the customer happy, and absolutely will result to the finance or business. So the people is foundation, and then we must agree that we must we must put attention to the people. But in reality, a lot of program of human capital now is what I call it's event based. Yeah, a lot of people try to run the program, but event based, but not look at the impact. So the reason I think employee experience is really critical for us to say we need to look at the impact for the human capital program.
Yeah. So I think that takes me to the next set of questions, and I'm just informing everyone who's our listener this morning and is seeing us live this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world watching us today. You will have a right side where you can actually put all your questions, and we are going to take live questions. So feel free to keep posting questions, and I'm going to take them as we go along with the permission of my panelists today. So what we want to really achieve is also move into practical examples. But before I do that, I would want to put on the table what are the challenges, because I think we've just discussed right now about what is accelerating the change. One is the demographic, as you said, Jacqueline. Gaurav, you spoke about the rate of change and the expectation because of the digital transformation. And now, Irvandi, you do share the focus on the impact that experience needs to have. So what are the gaps? What are, in your mind, what is the number one challenge for CHROs in the region to really being able to leverage the power of putting the employees at the center? What's coming on our way? Let's at least put it on the table. So at least we can take some examples about how are you guys being able to overcome those challenges. So if I were to ask you, what is the number one challenge for HR leaders across the region to truly really imbibe employee experience as a filter?
Yeah, maybe I can start. In my view, the first one, the challenge, what we face in the business, absolutely consistency and execution. Yeah. So whatever the good the program of human capital, the HR program, but in reality, if you're not flawless execution, this will not impact directly to the people. A lot of sometimes we talk about slogan, we talk about program, whatever the name you want to run it, but in reality, sometimes it's not create the impact. Again, the execution is critical. Yeah. But the second one, I think, in the challenge for us is talking about how really the program is connect to the business directly. It's not easy. Sometimes looks like we are in isolated island, correct? Isolated island, meaning human capital program is not really drive the business. So meaning the challenge for us, how we understand the business and whatever the employee experience you want to run, it actually impact the business again.
I'll jump in here, Esther. I think there are many challenges. I do a lot of training, and I connect with a lot of HR professionals from all over, from different industries. I find one of the greatest challenges really mindset, a shift in mindset. A lot of the HR practitioners that I work with or even talk to, they are still in the very old state mindset of transactional HR, functional HR. They are unable to kind of think about, hey, now it's no longer about functional HR, but how do I think about an employer experience, just like how I manage the customers. So the entire paradigm shift is a big challenge for the traditional function. And secondly, a lot of them don't understand how to connect the technologies, because truly the employee experience, the journey mapping, requires you to be able to put together technology pieces. Yeah. Because technology is an important and integral part of the entire employee journey. Yeah. Yeah, I'll stop here and pass it to.
Wonderful. Oh, thank you, Jacqueline. Thanks. Anything else to add, Gaurav, in terms of we had mindset, we had really leveraging the power of technology and integrated in the journey of experience, and we have the reality of execution and aligning it to the business objectives. Any other challenges?
Well, I think it is also the ability of HR professionals to be able to articulate what kind of impact that they're going to make. So I think Irvandi actually mentioned it. That's that right. Being able to talk, that what is the business impact that one is making. And then Doctor also mentioned about the mindset, which I find is probably the biggest hurdle, because whenever you speak to HR professionals, they yet seem to be stuck in a time wrap. They're yet there talking about transactions and traditional way of thinking. Yeah. So HR needs to be probably more creative, more innovative, and more develop a better commercial acumen, which will help them get the kind of support and investment they need to start creating a wholesome employee experience.
Wonderful. So let me take you to specific examples about how are you navigating those challenges in your own organizations, and we can learn from those experiences. So Jacqueline, I'm coming to you first, because you've done tremendous work in the area of culture shift, and by really using digital tools. That also was the base of your PhD, and I think you have not only implemented a lot of that work in your own organizations, but also training, as you said, as a faculty to other professionals as well. So take us through maybe one example, and we have time, then I'll come to you for more examples of how you've mapped the employee digital life cycle, and how you had a business challenge, and you really looked at redesigning some of that experience to be able to impact the business. Can you share one example? And then I'm going to come to both of you as well for more examples. And what did you learn from that experience?
So, if you think about the area of culture transformation, a lot of times we think about doing culture change in a very traditional way, like bringing people into a room, discussing things, and taking up a lot of time. So, what we have done over here is really think about, can I speed up that process of change instead of taking a month or 2 months? Can it be done even in hours, or even in blocks of like days? So we actually took the challenge, and we came up with a digital brainstorming tool that has incorporated a culture measurement instrument. So by kind of doing this kind of things digitally, we did a lot of testing. We convinced people to get onto the digital platform. We did a lot of walk the talk, going down the ground, and getting a lot of support from our management team. So that process of transformation, using culture brainstorming to really speed up culture transformation in a tremendous way. So we are able to kind of really accelerate that process in a very, very quick manner. And as a result of that, SUTD today has been able to do a lot of transformation in mindsets and in the way we do things in a very innovative manner. So that's one example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Jacqueline. Any specific examples, Irvandi or Aurav, you want to share about how did you maybe redesign an employee experience with moments of truth, whether it's a recruitment example or an engagement example? Happy to hear.
Yeah, I think again, in reality, we need to start with the objective, correct? When we try to redesign the employee experience, we must start to the objective, what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then again, must be clear as well for the employee perspective, what is in it for them, what is in it for me, meaning this employee. I think the critical one. So that any design or what talking about the employee experience, what you want to deliver, what is it for me? Not just we look at from the company perspective, what is it for me, for the employee perspective, and then should be simple arrangement. Should be simple arrangement, not just sometimes we make so complicated and people not get it. So I'll give you an idea. For example, say we again talk about moment of truth, correct? Moment of truth. For example, recruitment. For example, how to ensure the newcomers feel like yes, I have the employee experience. In my bank, Indonesia, for example, we talk about before people join, they already get the 1 week or 2 weeks before they join, they got like email personally from me directly by system, but talking about with my name, talking about welcome them and join the company. And then the first day they join directly, also like directly when they open email, the first email on the company directly, also like welcoming email, and then the link everything to go to the all website or go all channel. They need to look at that, including with the induction, for example. All induction we have it for the new employees, meaning join together, and again the directors there. Usually I join there and I welcome them. I think this is a part of employee experience to show that okay, we welcome you there. We put that as humanizing, so that again align with my bank, my bank vision. My bank vision is talking about humanizing financial services. We try to look at people about humanizing. That I think the approach, for example, give you idea for recruitment.
So tell me, Gaurav, go ahead, and then I'm coming to you for some more questions on that example that you just. Gaurav, you want to share one example as well, and then
I actually also want to build, like, because at TeleDirect, one of the things that we've done is we've looked at employee experience as a holistic approach. We're not just looking at maybe just onboarding or health and benefits, wellness, fun. We looked at it at a complete wholesome level. And what we've done is at every stage we've introduced initiatives that actually create an experience for an employee. So like Irvinder, we've worked a lot on onboarding. We actually have employee champions in all our offices who actually connect personally with all our new joiners, and they actually welcome them on day one. When actually a new employee walks into the TeleDirect office, they actually have a familiar face in the form of that employee champion, because the person would have actually connected and had a conversation with every new joiner who joins. Just to give you an idea, last year we hired over 3,200 people. So,
Yeah.
for our employee champions, really, make it a point to reach out to each and every one, so that the first day when they walk in, they have a friend at office.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we've done, which we've kind of realized is very impactful, is that we have made coaching a sort of a mainstay of our employee experience. At TeleDirect, every employee gets regular coaching sessions with their team leaders, with HR, actually mandated. So for us, coaching is extremely critical. Every employee, experiences TeleDirect in the form of getting coached, because our credo is accelerate your career. We accelerate your career, and we actually want to live to true to that. And we work very hard on coaching and mentoring at TeleDirect and ensure that each and every employee really gets a great experience of being here.
Yeah. So I'm going to come back to each one of you for your approach of leveraging some of the principles of design thinking and putting the employee. And I've heard Gaurav, you talking about holistically, and you're giving examples which are kind of more part of programs. Jacqueline, you spoke about the leverage the power of technology and how you integrate technology. And Irmani, you are talking about, again, what's in it for the business, but also what's in it for the individual. So would you share very briefly, what is your approach of employee experience, designing that employee experience? If you were to say, okay, these are the 4 steps that we use or we look at it. Jacqueline, you want to start? And then maybe we can add into each other, because maybe there's some convergence that starts to emerge. What is your approach to this design thinking as an outcome of employee experience, but of course aligned to the business objectives?
Of course, when we look at employee experience, we will look at the digital life cycle.
Yeah.
So you think about the entire digital life cycle. You really look at the from all the way from recruitment to learning to performance, also to basically culture, experience, of course, all the way to exit. So when we did the entire technology roadmap, and we use the principles of design thinking, we use a lot more agile technology, agile thinking. So basically, you look at the issues. For example, if I look at the stages of the life cycle, I map the journey. How would I want my employee to experience each stage of the journey, from recruitment all the way to offboarding? And from there, we look at the suitable technologies that will have a better touch point with the employees. And then from there, we will look at what are the providers out there with a very good interface. So the strategy might be you could go with a large scale system. You could go with different systems, but end of the day, it's not the technology or it's not the system, but it's entire employee mapping.
Yeah.
So whenever to map the experience, you bring the technology in, and then you do a lot of testing, user testing on the ground. And at end of the day, is really involving the employees, getting as much feedback as possible, so that when they use the system, they are the ones that can be very comfortable with each touch point.
Yeah. So Jacqueline, how do you bring your own team on board for that journey? Because I think when you're starting to do that mapping journey,
that's right.
It probably means that a lot of the processes which are legacy, that probably have worked very well in the past, need to be broken and need to be rebuilt again from zero. So how do you really bring the team on board in that change? Because, as a head of recruitment or as a head of employee engagement or as a head of performance management, now you're actually asking me to break the complete process, which normally had HR at the center. How is it easy for me as an HR person, or, how do I make HR process more efficient? Now you're saying, break that and put the employee at the center, which means I have to rebuild everything from scratch.
I think a lot of times, as I explained, a lot of the HR practitioners are trained very functionally. They don't think about the breadth. So it's really a lot of mindset, a lot of coaching, a lot of just spending a lot of time talking to them. You will get resistance, because they are not trained this way. But you just need to spend a lot of time talking to them and coaching them. And it's not a process that it's overnight. It takes time.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you, Jackie. Irvandi, Gaurav, you want to add into your approach? So I think Jacqueline spoke about end-to-end, and I think that's common for all of you. But we'd love to understand any specific way that you have implemented this thinking.
Yeah, to add what Jacqueline shared already, talking about holistic approach, but I added we must as well do in an integrated way. Integrated way meaning sometimes you know that and the life cycle or process of human capital actually sometimes it's not connecting each other. For example, while you do the employee experience and the recruitment, for example, okay, in the other way, but you don't do another way. Maybe you do it in this different way. In for example, in performance management, meaning the spirit can be different. For example, while we hire very good people in the recruitment, everybody happy, everybody feel being recognized, they welcome, and suddenly go for the performance management suddenly different way. You know, we must be connecting each other, meaning must be harmony each other, meaning all human capital process must be integrated, and absolutely again must have alignment to the business. I think the three of approach. And again, in my bank, what we call this, we have a process. We call this recruit right. We have after recruit right, we have perform right, develop right, and reward right. The all cycle in human capital, we try to do it in the when we try to look at the employee experience. What's moment of truth in each step of cycle of human capital. Yeah.
What was Irvandi? Before I'm coming to you, Gaurav, what was maybe one aha moment for you when you were designing those processes? Some of the moment of truth that actually you did not think it was so important, but it turned to be actually probably a lot more critical than what you had experienced. Anything that was a little counterintuitive? That say, oh, we didn't know that this moment of truth was actually so important for employees. And
simple things, Esther. I think sometimes you forget something simple, but actually it's really meaningful for people. For example, simple things. Yeah, we have a lot of, for example, let's say birthday. For example, we want to celebrate the birthday. We think it's simple. Why we want to celebrate? But it's very critical in reality.
Yeah,
I give you an idea. The simple one in my bank, for example, every morning by automatic, by system actually, but directly by my email. Okay, send email directly to employees. Get the birthday celebration, congratulations for me, the director. They're surprised. They said that I never have it from director to celebrate my birthday, even in the morning, for example. But simple way. So again, how to avoid the mechanistic?
Yeah.
Meaning sometimes people say I don't need it to do it. For example, while you have it, for example, for example, in the company you have the wedding, for example, a gift. Company have the wedding gift for people. Like a wedding, correct? For example, okay. But if mechanistic, suddenly we just send the money to them. That's simple. But sometimes we don't use the moment of truth. For example, again, celebrate and congratulate them. But simple way again, and people feel being touched, correct? Again, this is a concept of managed by head and lead by heart. I think the key one is employee experience is talking about humanizing, lead by heart.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Irvani. Yes, Gaurav, anything to add? Then I'm going to add a question to you, which is specific, and I'm with your permission, I'm taking one question from the audience as well, and see if you can merge the answer as well with Rosa's question. So Rosa is asking about what is really the business impact of that effort. Have you actually seen that by changing the way that you're delivering service to our internal employees and aligning them to business, does it actually impact the business metrics?
Sure.
That's really the question. How do we align employee experience and design thinking? Does it really impact business?
So, one thing at TeleDirect is that, we pride ourselves at, managing our customers well. That is actually our mainstay, right? Our customer experience is extremely critical for us. And, this is something that Laurent, who's my CEO, he keeps saying, he says that basically customers are looking for three things. They're looking for velocity, agility, and visibility, right? They're looking at speed in everything that we can do for them. Either it is hiring the right quality of talent, or supporting their business, or partnering them in implementing a new product line. They want speed from us. They want absolutely speed and velocity from. Then they also want to have the ability of being able to change their minds. So if something's working well, fine, but they want to improve it or they want to change it, they want to have the flexibility of being able to change, and they want teledirect and our employees to be agile enough to be able to adapt quickly and to be able to deliver to the client. And eventually they want visibility on how things are going, and they want visibility on a live basis, day-to-day basis, minute by minute. They want to know what's happening and how it's working for them. And I think employee experience is actually the same thing. I mean, if you really look at what your internal stakeholders are asking from you or expecting from HR, is essentially they want speed. They want HR to be able to adapt quickly to the changes and to be able to deliver to the business. They want agility, so HR to be able to again be able to change the way they do things to what is really needed and to impact and support them. And they want visibility, so we're talking about HR analytics, we're talking about dashboards, we're talking about live reporting, so that they can make informed people decisions. And that's how we've taken this from what Laurent says, and we've actually imbibed that into our whole HR and employee experience framework. And everything around that is built to ensure that we have velocity, we have agility and visibility. And employees expect that, and we've seen a remarkable change. I mean, in just about so we started our digital journey about three years ago, and our attritions have dropped by 50%. Our employee satisfaction levels have gone up phenomenally, and we've actually digitized end to end the whole employee life cycle in the last 3 years. And obviously it has required a lot of effort and a lot of investment, but we've been able to do that, and we are seeing the returns on business right now in terms of better retention. We've got people performances going up, and hence productivity going up, and our client satisfaction is really at an all-time high. So this is the way I think if it is planned well and a holistic approach is adopted, we can deliver exponential value to business.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav. So and because the three of you spoke about the importance of leveraging technology, and especially Jacqueline, you spoke about the digital life cycle and the expectation from not only our millennials, but the millennial mindset. All of us use technology every day for everything. So can you share an example of maybe a learning, and I'm not going to call that a failure story, but I'm going to call it a learning story, just for purpose of all of us to let maybe something that you did in the past, thinking that, I will use technology, and then realize that really technology was not enough. Maybe the process was not thought through properly, or maybe the business management. So one example where you actually had an objective, which was transform a particular moment of truth, a particular experience, and it didn't work, and what can we learn from it?
Okay, I mean, when we were trying to implement the performance appraisal system, we were trying to come up with a system that was very friendly to our faculty, that it could also be a repository for information.
Yeah.
We actually, came up with this, whole interface. We were so happy with it. And then I think what happened was we did not have enough user experience.
Yeah.
We actually tested with people, a small group of people. And when the system went live, we had unhappiness with the faculty. So that didn't go very well. But I did a lot of recovery by saying, look, guys, we have to go out there and talk to the faculty again. Look, we apologize that maybe the system didn't fit what you were looking for. Tell us again, what you thought were the failures and what could be improved. And we went, to each group.
Yeah.
And took all the feedback, re-implement again, and today we have a really, really good faculty profile system that has got all kinds of capabilities embedded, and you can do a lot of analytics on it. So that's an interesting experience, that it really was being humble, going out there to apologize, and getting feedback to start all over again.
Yeah. So what Jacqueline, it's a very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing it. What is it that you change, not only for this particular process, but from now on, what are the things that you did differently for all the other new interventions or any new pilots? What is the mindset shift that example created in your team?
I think when they did that first prototype, they were doing a lot with I'm from a very HR process point of view. But end of the day, everything is really about the user and user experience. When you start with the user in mind, makes all the difference. And
Yeah.
also, one thing that I learned is it's really when you try and do a new software or a new system, you don't go out and do the full scale. Okay, so we use agile. We said, look, let's do a small prototype. Let's come up with a prototype first, get a low level prototype, go out there, get feedback, and continue to do iterative prototyping. So along that process, you actually have a lot more acceptance when you go live.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Yeah. Gaurav, Irvandi, any learning stories you want to share with us today?
Yeah, actually, we had a similar experience as Doctor mentioned. So we embarked on our digital journey about 4 years ago, and initially we went around actually trying to capture expectations and look at what was what people needed, what the HR teams locally needed, and I think we came up with a huge list. It had like hundreds of things that were needed to be done, and we realized that the system uh, uh, will probably not be able to do all of them.
Yeah.
And while at initially, we ended up saying that yes, this can be done, this will be done. We had to then, really look and rethink
Yeah.
and design our implementation strategy. We actually ended up, initially having a lot of pain because, people said that you said it can be done, and why hasn't it been done now? And then we had to obviously go back and explain it back to them and tell them that hey, it's going to take some time. There's something called the system maturity, the user experience, which we need to put in, and we also need to ensure that the change is not drastically it's just too big, because if it is too big, then it becomes very difficult for people to adapt and change over.
Yeah.
And we also, one of the biggest learnings that we had there was we also realized that we need to also start training our HR teams in a different way. Spend a good amount of time helping them understand the system, helping them understand digitization, and how it can help them and how it can help our employees to improve their experiences.
Wonderful.
And we embarked on it, and I think last 2 years we've been experiencing a huge fill up in the way we've been able to manage the whole implementation.
Yeah.
And we have a very successful digitized HR system and function right now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav. So many of our readers, listeners today in the show are probably companies that have not yet even started that journey of, and I mean, I will call it the design thinking. Many of us use design thinking without even knowing that we're using design thinking. So it really doesn't matter so much about the framework and the words that we use, but many organizations that may be listening to all of you are maybe in the early stage of that journey. And I love to ask you a question about how do you prioritize those changes? Because Gaurav, you spoke about if you start listing all the things you have to change, you probably have a list of thousands of things that are not working and that you know that you need to change. But how would you advise our listeners today to prioritize? Which battles to choose, where to start, how do we create early successes in that journey?
Actually, I think everybody needs to spend a disproportionate time planning and thinking it through, mapping out processes in detail. What really happens is our mindset is to execute. The minute we invest in a digital system or we want to start off implementing a new initiative, we just jump into executing it. And if you're talking about a whole change in the way we work, the change in mindset, it needs people to think through. It cannot be something that you start executing tomorrow. You rather spend out of the 10 days you have 8 days thinking about it and 2 days executing it, rather than the other way. And that's been our learning, because what we had to go back and do was map out our process and then get a buy-in on that process, saying, hey, this is the way that we are going to do the recruitment process or the performance management process. And then we put that on the system. Not that we get the system live because the system has a process and then try and adapt or change, because that's very painful.
Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav.
Esther, I'd like to jump in here. I think it's very important to really look at the employee journey map. Okay, so when you look at the employee journey map, you look at the different touch points. And very important is that, of course, organizations need to know whether they have the budgets. and also the expertise to be able to do this kind of implementation. And when you think about it, one of the important points I always tell my students that go for the 80-20 principle. Go for the business problem that has the most impact.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's a recruitment issue, if it's something that bothers the business, is a recruitment issue, then try and solve that problem first and do a journey mapping that can tackle that area. Then when you have early success and the business see that HR can really create a big impact, then your CEO is probably more willing to invest in technology because it's the results. And from there, you slowly do step-by-step implementation. Go on that approach if you don't have the resources. Of course, in large organizations that have the resources, they straight away to go into Workday or SAP or SuccessFactors.
Yeah.
So it really depends on which stage you are, in your journey.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Irmandi, anything to add on the prioritization problem?
Yeah, I think again we must start with objective. Okay, what objective you want to do with the again the digitalization or employee experience? What you want to achieve? With the clear objective, it's very easy for us to make priority, right? Yeah. And then again, we must look at again the first principle. I think be careful. Don't just copy what other company do it. Maybe not suitable for you. So I think benchmark is sometimes it's not easy to do it. Do it best practice. I mentioned it not best practice. I mentioned it best fit. If you look at other company do it, maybe you can get the idea. But again, what you can do for your company, maybe not suitable with you. Okay, so not just copy what trend now and just follow. Okay, follow the principle of objective. Okay, and then you will go there. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Irmandi. I'm taking a question from the audience as well. This question comes from Lian, and I love this question because there's so much authenticity in this question. And the question is, how do we stay committed to the journey of transforming employee experience when there will be a lot of business demands which are going to push us out and really sideline this, because a lot of that effort that we are all speaking about will only see the light of the day in terms of business impact, mid-term or long-term. So how do we stay on course and how do we stay committed? What is your experience? How do you do that? How do you keep your teams on track? How do you keep yourself on track when there'll be a lot of business demands that are going to try to take you away of that path?
Can I share an experience I had when I was in Certis Cisco?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. See, what is really important is, when you identify the problem that really bothers the business. In my last job, it was a serious recruitment issue. But what you really need to do to stay on track is that you've got to go down to the ground. So I went with the sales folks for tender meetings. I tried to understand what was the problem causing the issues, and understand what were the operations folks facing. So when you start to go to the ground and you make an effort to understand the business, your colleagues will know that, hey, this person, this HR person makes an effort to understand the business problems. And then from there, I said, look, HR can come in, HR can help you. Why don't I work with you guys to solve all your problems, and let's work together as a team. So I found that that approach really works, and because of that, we were able to do a very big system implementation. We spent like $2 million, and we went with the SAP system and we reconfigured the entire recruitment system. So that was, I thought, an example that was practical, and it was able to kind of link up with the business and help solve issues.
So Jacqueline, your point is that the closest effort to the business problem, the easier it will be for you to stay in course, because if it's
exactly, yes,
no one is going to take you away of that path.
Yes, yep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, if I can share how to make leaders stay committed. I think based on my experience directly is talking about make a system, sustainable system to ensure the process continue, correct? Meaning, for example, okay, how to ensure they're talking about employee experience can be part of KPI, for example, and scorecard of leaders. And leaders know that this will be measured, for example. Then absolutely there's no choice for them to do it or not to do it. Okay, the second one talking about reward and recognition. And absolutely, again, it's a system of followers there, that the concept is a followers there, and that absolutely will push the leaders to do that. And then again, continuous feedback. And leaders get the feedback, how good they are, how bad they are, talking about 360 whatever program, people as well will get the input talking about how good the employee experience. And the last one, absolutely, again, a role model, right? And then leaders usually follow the others leaders as well. The top management, I think, can be the role model to do that. It absolutely will make a big impact for the team. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Irvandi, for sharing that. I'm taking the last question from the audience because we want to make sure that we cover that. But I have a couple of more questions that I want to make sure we cover before we move out of the conversation. There's a question about measuring success, employee experience. How do we really measure success? Any examples of metrics that you use to really understand whether your efforts of designing that moment of truth, is it working, is it not working? Any examples you want to share with us on measures of success?
Yeah, maybe I can share. The first one, absolutely, we connect with the employee engagement survey score, absolutely, talking about that. But the employee engagement, a bit, what I can say is talking about the level of commitment of people, correct? But if you look at the employee experience score, usually what we try to do it in my bank, I do I call this customer-centric survey for human capital. So meaning I do customer-centric survey, how people perceive about our process in recruitment, how people perceive about our process in training, how people perceive about performance management and something like that. And we can look at that in the approach of customer-centric. Any improvement we can do it, and then we can make an improvement based on the feedback from the survey.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Jacqueline, maybe I jump in here.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the things that we do is when you implement a new software, a new system, it is good to run user surveys. So when I implement for example, a system, I will run a pulse survey, a user survey on how they find the tool, the satisfaction, the look and feel, the touch points, and all that. So the kind of a simple diagnostic survey gives you an answer as to how your employees or users are rating your platforms.
Yeah.
So, okay.
That's well. Okay, wonderful. So the user themselves giving us feedback is a very important metric for you to incorporate. Okay, very nice. Gaurav, any other inputs?
Well, I mean, obviously the client survey is a good indicator of how engaged your employees are, and obviously the employee survey also reflects for us, their commitment and whether they're having great employee experience. But one other thing that we do well is we look at a continuous feedback kind of a system, which again, for us falls back to our team leaders having constant conversations with our people to understand what they really need, and then having a feedback into HR that okay, these are the things that we require and how you can. So I think a constant two-way conversation between employees, their team leaders, and HR is probably a great way of being able to measure whether your experiences, the employee experiences you're creating, are working or no. Because while there will be surveys and there will be everything, it's better to just get a real-time feedback and be able to fix it rather than wait for something and then kind of take corrective action.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Gaurav. So we are running out of time, and I want to thank you. I don't know how fast the conversation has gone, and it's been a great learning experience personally for me, and I'm sure for all of you who are listening to us. I want to ask you a question and really to help us and advise us, all of us who are listening to all of you, on one of the things that we should start, we should stop, and we should continue. If I may ask you all, and maybe we will do a round robin so I get everyone's inputs on that, on what is it that we need to start, stop, and continue doing to really deliver that exceptional employee experience. As HR professionals, when we are designing new approaches to really service the business and service our employees, one thing we should stop, start, and continue doing. Any of you, whoever wants to start.
Well, I think I'll jump in there.
Yes, go ahead.
I think one thing that HR really needs to start doing is to think out of the box and adopt design thinking to create exceptional experiences.
Yeah.
So having the ability to experiment and do creative stuff. one thing that HR really needs to stop is, do piecemeal activities, focusing just on one aspect or certain aspects of employee experience, rather than looking at the whole framework and looking at the whole employee life cycle and trying to create employee delight throughout. And I think what HR needs to continue doing is, implement technologies that are user friendly. They help employees and organizations to communicate with each other and share real-time feedback, because that is really what our employees at Teledirect are really looking from us, because they belong to Gen Ys and they are very, very young. In fact, our employee strength is largely Gen Y. So it is imperative for us to respond and react in real time rather than on a periodic basis.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav.
Okay, I'll jump in here. Of course, to start with, I think it's important to have an open mindset.
Yeah.
Continue to learn, because with the advent of technology and the rate of change, nothing is static. So it's continuous learning, continuous improvement. One thing to is really to stop, being negative, to stop kind of thinking of HR as a silo, and stop thinking as HR as the means to an end, but really think about HR as now, being the piece that connects everyone together. And to continue is really continue to not stop trying, because you will fail. I have implemented technology that I love at myself and things that have not been successful. But that doesn't stop me from continuously improving, continuously just trying out new things. That's the way to continue to learn and to improve.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacqueline. Yes, we're closing with you.
To add it, what we need to start, in my view, is be relevant and agile to new era. I think it's totally, the world is changed, and then we need to be relevant and agile and nimble to the new era. What we need to stop, in my view, again, is the first one is don't just do the event-based activity, do it the impact-based activity, and then please not just copy other company do it. You must start with the objective, what you want to achieve it.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking about continue. Okay, let's continue to lead by heart. Lead by heart. It's more easy for you to create the employee experience.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Irvandi, Gaurav, and Jacqueline. I think thank you so much for sharing so many stories, your advice, and really, truly, I think from the heart, Irvandi, you just mentioned that, and I think all of you have shared those stories with all of us today, and it's been really, really meaningful. So if I may request you just to stay for a few minutes, and I'm gonna now thank all our listeners who've been with us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world. It's been a privilege to bring that content to all of you. We really hope it was as meaningful as it was for at least the four of us who are here in this conversation. Thank you very much, and I'm going to see you once again on our next show tomorrow. Remember that this is a weekly show that we bring to all of you. Really the objective is to help all of you to be more impactful to your business. So once again, thank you.
Thank you
for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.